I think that as the market is pricing, it's very likely they're going to pass on hiking, but try and signal that they're very serious about hiking in December. I think their problem is that they've given so many signals in the past that have proved to be ephemeral that the market may not really take the message as strongly as they want and say that this represents an intention that could easily be derailed if data gets soft and so on. So, while they'd like to do a hawkish pass, it's possible at the end of the day, once we get past that, the market will say, okay, the clock starts running, and you really can't take it at face value.
Because this whole idea of a hawkish pass follows the dovish hike, of course, that we had last year as well. And so they think by the rhetoric they can actually get the market slightly concerned or wary that there would be some move. Why do you believe that that we're not going to see, or do you believe we're not going to see a hike this year? Because the market is pretty concerned now that we're, or feels that we're just not going to get anything before the end of the year.
Well, we do have about 55 to 60% of a chance of a hike priced in.
Right. But that tends to dissipate as we get nearer and nearer, doesn't it?
Well, if there's any bad news, I think the way the market sees the Fed is that they're flipping a coin, and they'll hike if it lands heads 7 times out of 8. And that's possible, but it's not that likely.
Yeah.
And so they tend to discount the rhetoric and wait for some piece of bad data or some financial market event to derail them.
Yeah.
What about market positioning here? We mentioned how low the positioning is around September. A number of commentators keep pointing out that unless the market is priced for a rate hike, then you're unlikely to see one. And Chris Weston has sent us a note this morning saying, with the exception of 2 instances in 1994, the Fed have never raised rates without the market pricing in at least a 70% chance of a move. Do you put much faith in that? Unless the market is positioned for it, then you're simply not going to have a move from the Fed.
Well, the numbers haven't gone the way of a hike. I mean, it's not just that the Fed's rhetoric hasn't been pushing it. We've had 2 weak retail sales numbers in a row, and the Fed will pay a lot of attention to that. Softish payrolls, all the ISMs. They'll be afraid that the election is throwing a curve into the economy, and why throw an additional curve?
What about consumer prices? 1.1%, the overall increase we've had now over the past year. That's getting closer to the 2% mark.
Well, that's the CPI, and the CPI isn't what they target. I think they would view it as being broadly stable. And I think that at this stage they would be more concerned that the economy is beginning to slow than they'd be concerned about, a little nick on the CPI.